Hi, I just wanted to make a real quick video talking about the difference between permutations and combinations, and also showing you how to use your calculator to compute both. So I'm sure you are familiar with the concept that permutations means that order matters and combinations are used when order doesn't matter. But what the problem is for most people is they don't understand exactly what that means. So I just wanted to clarify a little bit. So for permutations, some examples are if you're assigning offices like president, vice president, treasurer, etc., or jobs or any kind of assignments. Or if you're arranging seats, placing people into students, and you're placing into seat 1, seat 2, seat 3, that's an arrangement. Or creating a lineup of musicians or comedians or speakers, their order matters. And so for all of those, we're talking about a permutation, and that's when you would use your P formula. For combinations, so back to permutations for 1 second. Making a list is one way to think about it. Like if you're listing off the person who will go first, the person who will go second, or listing Lisa will be president, George will be vice president, etc. For combinations, this is where you're just choosing a group. Like if I just want to choose 5 balls out of 10 balls in a bin. And so order doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I choose one first and then another one. Just whichever 5 I get, it doesn't matter. And so one concept that you can relate this to is subsets. So in sets, order doesn't matter. So if I'm creating a subset of size 2 out of an original set that was size 5, that is actually a combination. If I want to know how many different subsets of size 2 I can form out of a set that is size 5, then I can use the combination formula where my n is 5 and my r is 2. Other examples are just if you're choosing a committee where everybody on the committee has the same position, and so I say everyone is equal. Or if you're picking items off of a menu. So if there are 7 entrees and you're choosing 3 of the 7 entrees, that is an example of when you would use a combination. Okay, and so then beyond telling the difference between the two, there's also issues with people just being able to do the formulas themselves. And this is where your calculator comes in handy. You absolutely need a scientific calculator for this course. It is a requirement. You need to be familiar with your calculator. That's why you need to have your own. You can borrow from somebody, but you need to have regular access to it while you're doing your homework, while you're doing your quizzes, and be able to bring it with you when you go in to take the tests, the test 2, when you go in for your proctored exam. And so the exclamation point, that is the symbol for factorial, where, for example, if you're doing 4 factorial, you do 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And that exclamation point is going to be on your calculator. And so if I'm doing it on my calculator doesn't have an exclamation point button, and it doesn't even have written above any of the buttons. And so mine is actually in my PRB menu. And so if I want to get to the exclamation point, first I would have to hit my 5 if I'm going to do 5 factorial. So I would hit my 5, I would hit my PRB button, and then you see this menu come up. And in the menu, my third option, so I can either arrow down to it and then hit enter, and now I have 5 factorial. And so if I wanted to do 5p2, that means I would do 5 factorial on top divided by 5 minus 2 parenthesis factorial. And so if I want to do it out the long way on my calculator, I would hit my 5 factorial, and then I would hit my divide symbol, and then I would hit my parenthesis, and then I would hit 5 minus 2, close my parenthesis, and then I would hit my PRB button again. I would go down and hit enter, and now I have my equation, and then if I hit enter, it tells me that the answer is 20. Now, in my calculator, and I actually have not ever seen a calculator excuse me, that doesn't have, that does the factorial that will not do the P formula or the C formula. And so it almost always will do the P formula or the C formula. You may have to find it in a menu. Mine is conveniently located with my factorial in my PRB menu. Sometimes it's in a stat menu, STAT for statistics, stat. Sometimes they're present on the actual buttons themselves. Sometimes they're written above the, like where my log is. You just have to find yours. You have to look through your user's manual or Google it, whatever you got to do. So if I wanted to do the same thing, if I want to do 5 and then NPR, notice my first choice is NPR, my second choice is NCR. So if I do choice 1, so 5 NPR 2, so on mine I have to hit the 5 first, then I hit the NPR, then I hit the 2, and then I hit enter, and it gives me the same answer. I don't have to do the entire formula out. And the same thing with my C formula. If I wanted to do 5 and then NCR and then 2, so 5, choose 2, I hit enter, and it's going to give me 10 as the answer. I hit it twice. I hit enter twice, which is why I showed it twice. So that's the shortcut for my 5, choose 2. But if I want to do the long way, the thing that people miss the most is order of operations has to be forced. And so this is an implied times between this exclamation and the R. And so I have a times in the bottom of a fraction. Anytime you have any operation going on within a fraction, you have to add parentheses around that operation to force it to do that operation first before it does the division of the fraction. And so if you type this all out in your calculator, you need to add a second set of parentheses. So if I wanted to do it, let me clear what I have. I would do 5 factorial, and then I would hit my divide sign, and then I would hit parenthesis, and then I would hit parenthesis again. And then I would type my 5 minus 2. I would close the parenthesis around the 5 minus 2. Then I would hit my exclamation point. Sorry that it's bad filming. And then I would hit my times button. And then I would have to do 2 factorial, so 2 PRB, and then factorial. I just say PRB because that's what my button says is PRB for probability. And now I still have to end my final parenthesis for the bottom of my fraction. And so end your parenthesis and then hit enter. And I get 10 just like I did when I used the formula. And so whether you do it out longhand or whether you use the built-in function, the NCR function, it doesn't matter to me as long as you know how to do it and you know reliably how to do it. You will need to be familiar with your calculator in general anyway. Okay, so that was all that I wanted to show you. Hopefully that'll help a little bit for this test 2 material. Sorry for the bad filming. I just wanted to get this out to you and I didn't have a good camera available to me right now. Happy studying.